this video tutorial we are going to look at IELTS speaking module and see what is involved in that. So the structure of the course is right in front of you. We have done 8 lectures so far, and today is our 9th lecture, which is IELTS speaking. This is a brief introduction, and the next one, which is the last one, is IELTS speaking in detail. So I would suggest you to watch all these lectures before you watch lecture number 9, or if you are just watching lecture number 9, go back and watch all of them, and they will definitely help you to understand what IELTS exam is actually. So let's see what is involved. So the speaking test is 11 to 14 minutes, and there are 3 parts in the test. The first one is interview. We will be talking about these 3 parts in detail on the next slides. The second one is a long run, which is monologue. Monologue means where you have to speak for a given amount of time, and the last bit is two-way discussion or conversation. Okay, so these are the 3 parts in IELTS speaking test. Okay, so part 1 is introduction and interview, which is 4 to 5 minutes long. The examiner introduces himself or herself and asks you to introduce yourself and confirm your identity. So these are normally identity checks. Okay, can I see your passport? Can I see you this document, that document? Okay, the examiner tells you his or her name and asks you to introduce yourself. Now, introducing yourself is a very you could say technical thing, because you don't speak a lot, but whatever you speak, you give an impression to the examiner that you are a confident speaker, you are a proficient speaker. So you have to prepare for that. It is not just like, my name is this and I live in this place, that place, this country. You need to be very, very clever here to create your first and good impression on the examiner. Then the examiner asks you general questions on familiar topics, for example, home, family, work, studies, and interests. So these are normal things, but I would say that examiners will ask these normal things to everybody. How you stand out, how you respond to these normal things in an outstanding or extraordinary way is what matters. Okay, this is what makes the difference. Okay, so this is the question style, introduction and interview. This is a kind of you could say this is a sample of the question for the first part. So we covered first part, the interview, and then this is how different types of questions examiners ask. So this comes from a past paper. Okay, so don't take it lightly. It is a serious issue. Work on it. Talk to your peers and friends or teachers or wherever you are training, and if you're training yourself, I mean, you can think about it, write down the answers, practice them, finalize them, and make sure that you are good at saying those things, but don't memorize them. Okay, memorized answers are not acceptable, not good. This part of the test begins with the examiner introducing himself or herself and checking the candidate's identification. It then continues as an interview. For example, the examiner would say, let's talk about your home or town or village. What kind of place is it? What's the most interesting part of your town or village? And what kind of jobs do people in your town or village do? Or what do you say it's good place? Well, sorry, would you say it's good place to live, and why? Now these questions simply look very simple and very, very straightforward, but I would suggest you to do some research before going to the interview. Even if you don't want to do research, that's perfectly fine, but make up stuff, write down something, create stories. What's the most interesting part of your town? Always remember what, why, when, where, how. If you ask yourself these questions, you will get millions of answers. So try to pick the, the the most interesting things and try to use great expressions, say things in a very nice and fluent way and in a very sophisticated language. I mean, don't just repeat simple sentences. Oh, it's very good. I love it. I like it. I mean, go beyond that thing. What kind of jobs do people do in your town or village or city, whatever the examiner asks? So think about different types of jobs, think about or research or even make a list of different things. Practice them so much that they become second nature to you and they are on your fingertips, as they say. And would you say it's a good place to live? Now, if it is a good place to live, why? Give 3-4 reasons. Then let's move on to talk about accommodation. Tell me about what kind of accommodation you live in. I mean, is it a flat? Is it a house? 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house, large house? Do you have a garden in it? Yeah, or a backyard, whatever. How long have you lived there? Uh, excuse me. And what do you like about living there? And what sort of accommodation would you most like to live in? So these are your likes and dislikes. Okay, how to express likes and dislikes is an interesting piece of work to prepare. So you need to work on that. Try to be different. I mean, different does not mean that you start answering in an awkward way. Try to come up with interesting answer, interesting responses. Okay, so this was your introduction, the first part, and here is the sample questions from the past paper about the first part. All right, speaking part 2. It is individual long term, 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, means you have to speak for 3 to 4 minutes. You have to keep speaking until the examiner tells you thank you very much. The examiner gives you a task card which asks you to talk about a particular topic. It also includes points you can cover in your talk. Okay, now the card is right in front of you and you are given 1 minute to prepare your talk and are given a pencil and a paper to make some notes. So the examiner will give you a card. Okay, this is your topic. For example, my ambition in life. I'm just saying anything, yeah. And the examiner would say, okay, here's the topic. You have to prepare, speak for 3 to 4 minutes. You have 1 minute to prepare. Here's the pencil and the paper. All right, so don't start writing stories on that. Just brainstorm quickly. You must have done these brainstorming sessions before the exams. So I would suggest you to think of any topic, even if it is nonsense, and try to brainstorm yourself and try to see how many ideas you can create. I sometimes tell my students that when you are sitting in your room, when you are in a bus or a train, just look at anything. For example, window, for example, trees, for example, meadows, grounds, and think of how many good ideas can you create. Okay, and you should have a notebook with you all the time. Try to write as many ideas as you can. Now this seems very silly practice, but this will open up your mind. This will train your mind how to create, how to generate ideas. Whatever idea comes to your mind, just write that on paper. When you write on a piece of paper, something magical happens, I tell you. You can prepare thousands of things in your mind, but they are useless unless and until they are transformed onto paper. Writing is magic, ladies and gentlemen, so be careful about that and mind that. So when you have done brainstorming sessions before the actual test, now you are quite comfortable with that, and brainstorm, I mean, create like 5-6 good ideas. They are enough to talk about. You talk for 1 to 2 minutes on the topic. The examiner may ask you 1 or 2 questions on the topic. Yeah, examiner can ask you questions anytime, but you don't worry about completing your sentences or completing the topic that you are talking about, you just carry on, forget about the time, explain to your examiner in a nice good way using beautiful language. Beautiful language means the language that is required up at this standard. Okay, and when the examiner stops you, oh, don't say, oh, let me finish my answer, don't worry about that. When the examiner stops you, just stop it. Okay, so that is how you do it. So here is a sample question for your part 2, which is individual long term, and this also comes from one of the past papers. All right, so candidate task card. So this is a kind of card that you would get. Describe something you own which is very important to you. You say where you got it from, how long have you had it, and what you use it for, and explain why it is important for you. So that is the topic. Yeah, for example, it could be about your laptop, it could be about your mobile phone. You should something you own. It could be about your pet. Okay, you could talk about your bike, your motorbike, your car, whatever you like, whatever you own. Okay, right, you will have to talk about the topic for about 1 to 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you are going to say, and you can make some notes. I mean, we discussed that on the previous slide. Rounding off question: is it valuable in terms of money, and would it be easy to replace? So these are some type of questions that can be asked, and this is your task card. Okay, now if you are, let's say, talking about your car or your pet, then make sure that you include these things, where you got it from and how long you have had it and what you use it for. So these answers or these prompts should be included in your response. Okay, so that is how you do it. So this is part 2, individual long term. I hope you understand that. On to part 3. It's a two-way discussion, 4 to 5 minutes long. The examiner asks further questions which are connected to the topic of part 2. For example, you chose your favorite car or your pet in task 2. So the examiner in this section would carry on asking you questions about pets, having pets, what are the benefits of having pets, or what is the benefit of having this car, that car, whatever you mentioned in part 2. These questions give you an opportunity to discuss more abstract ideas and issues. Okay, so this discussion would then go on and go on I mean, deeper level, you could say, and expand on it. You will be expanding on it. Examiner will ask you questions, right? But it would be anchored based in task 2. Here is a question about task 3 from a past paper. Let's consider first of all how people's values have changed. What kind of things give status to people in your country? Have things changed since your parents' time? Finally, let's talk about the role of advertising. Do you think advertising influences what people buy? So this means that in task 2 you have something of I mean, something, a property like car. So that means that advertising industry also influence choices. For example, different cars are advertised, electric cars, hybrid cars, plugged-in hybrid cars. I mean, I'm just considering that if you have a favorite car in task 2, then advertising obviously comes in, and you could see that this is a bit deeper discussion of the topic, not only about your favorite car, right? What skills are assessed in this one? A wide range of speaking skills are assessed. For example, the ability to communicate opinions and information on everyday topics and common experiences and situations by answering a range of questions. Language is basically to communicate ideas, and if you can communicate your ideas, whatever you wanted to say, then that is done. The ability to speak at length on a given topic using appropriate language and organizing your ideas coherently. When you're asked to speak for 3 to 4 minutes, excuse me, then how you connect your ideas, how you flow from one sentence to the next sentence, this is what is assessed here. The ability to express and justify opinions and to analyze means arguments, counter arguments, justifying, discussing, speculating. These are the things that are assessed, and that comes with practice. Okay, so the marking is done by certified IELTS examiners, and they check for your fluency and coherence. Fluency does not mean speaking at a speed, I mean 125 miles an hour. No, speaking fluency means that when you convey your ideas easily, comfortably, you have no lack of language, no lack of expressions. That's it. Lexical resources mean what type of vocabulary you use, what is your range, grammatical range and accuracy. Do you use perfect language, perfect grammar, accuracy, and pronunciation obviously is important, not the accent pronunciation. So please refer to the speaking booklet. I mean, you can have that anywhere from stores, or I mean, if you get the IELTS practice books, you will have that. That is the end of today's video. I'm sure that you understand it very well. It's not difficult, I tell you. You just need to practice it and organize things properly. Okay. If you have any question, ask me. Thank you very much. Bye.